there will be about 3 components to this dish. So the first one being the main event, meaning the green beans. Let's cut these down slightly. So I just want them in half, but not just in any half, straight cut. We'll do a little bias cut, a little angle, just to make it look extra nice, extra fancy. So I'm just gonna take a few bunches of these at a time, come in at an angle, that's it. So once I'm prepped, I'll put it back on to my plate. Excellent. So let's do tofu really small. So I'm gonna cut them into small cubes. I'm gonna start by cutting little tiles, all equal sizes. And then I'll take half of that stack, and then from there, I'll cut little strips. Stack them all together, and here we go. Line them up, and this is probably about somewhere between a small and a medium dice. Beautiful. So I've got my handy dandy push plate here that's gonna help me get all the ingredients in quickly. It's about the garlic now. So don't fuss over your garlic. It's just about pounding it flat, just laying it down like that, and it's ready to cut to take further. So do 2 at a time, or at least 3 at a time. If you try to do onesies, you'll be there all day. So I just basically gather them all together, and I am done with the first set of my aromatics, so I'll just leave them in one area. So garlic's cousin is ginger, of course, not literally, but in the Chinese kitchen it is. I'm just gonna square off the big pieces and not really worry about them. Squaring off all sides. I want this ginger to be able to sit up straight, just like that. And then I'm gonna use the back of my knife and just scrape down. And I'm just really just using the back of the knife to kind of scratch its back, which will peel the ginger down. And I am peeled. So the garlic is in small pieces. I'll keep the ginger in strips. Score off one side of your ginger so it'll sit up straight, and then I'll cut small tiles. Now tile becomes a slice, and then I'm gonna slice them into thin strips. These will be going into the wok at the same time so they can be married together. One more interesting ingredient, kind of that little change up to really make this interesting, is this right here. We got this at the supermarket. This is called Tianjin preserved vegetable. But all that preserved vegetable really is cabbage. They will take big pieces of Savoy or Napa cabbage, salt them, and what the salt does is drives all the moisture out, and then you get this really kind of aromatic, almost pickle flavor from these. So I just want to cut it into smaller pieces. They'll marry with the oil, and they'll all give us their flavor then. So let's bring those to the push board. I've got my preserved vegetable. My ginger and garlic can always go together. The last thing we need to make now is our sauce. Now this is sexy and it's really good to look at, but if you're cooking at home, you don't want to have 15 different little bowls for every little sauce. So what I recommend you do is make a sauce. I'm always making my own stir-fry sauces based on the flavor. So I'm just gonna go right down the line. I want you to think about the yum as I make these, as I make the sauce up. So brown sugar, of course, is gonna be sweet, and you don't want it sickeningly kind of like syrupy sweet. You just want sweet to be that kind of top note there. And this is Schezwan food. So this is the chili garlic sauce. And I do want this hot, so I'm gonna do a little extra heat. Now, this is kind of chili garlic, so it'll give you a garlic flavor. It has a little bit of vinegar too. So just to give you that kind of bright finish, Hoisin sauce, which is that soy sauce, kind of bean sauce, sweet sauce. And the last one of the big sauces is oyster sauce. Now I said this is the last of the sauces because I want that little thing that modifies, just changes it up. So this is that Shaoxing rice wine. This is Chinese rice wine. And I just want a little, just to give it a little kind of twist on aroma. So not too much there. And I've made my sauce. So again, this is the mise en place part. All Chinese cooking is kind of like 80% prep and 20% fire. So sauce looks good, my mise en place is ready, the beans are good, the proteins are good. So this is a method called twice cook. And that means we're gonna quickly blanch the green beans in cornstarch and then into hot oil. So the technique is, we'll take those green beans we cut, we'll put them into a colander, and then we'll take a little bit of that cornstarch and just dredge it through. Now I like doing the colander because I can shake it and the green beans will kind of absorb, and whatever I don't use will get pushed through the bottom. Now I'll take some of the green beans and then throw them in batches. My indicator is that noise. If I hear that kind of sizzle going on, I know I'm in a good place. And we're gonna give these literally maybe a few seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and we'll drain on a towel to absorb any excess oil as well. So just in, in and out. We just want to blister the exterior of the skins of the green beans. And now, second batch. You can't over cornstarch this. There's no such thing. I'm gonna let that go while I do myself a quick hand wash. Perfect. That's been about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I've got a nice little kind of crisp exterior, a blistered look on the beans. That's exactly what I want. Perfect. Okay, beans are ready. All my mise en place is ready, so all I can focus on now is getting this right. We're starting with just a few drops of oil. I always start really high so the oil has a chance to go down instead of starting low and trying to fish that oil around. Just in a few drops. So we're going with aromatics first, always. And we really want to cook these aromatics nice and well. I mean, almost to that light brown stage because we want to release all their flavors. So the three things that are in here are the ginger, the garlic, and those preserved vegetables, which is basically cabbage. So tofu is actually cooked through. I'm not worried about, doneness here because they are done. I just want to give them a nice little sear to give them some contrast and texture and some flavor. I never turn my heat down when I'm stir frying because I want that constant searing noise happening. Let's give that a few seconds. I'm going to tidy up a bit. All right, we're looking good here. My tofu is starting to get a little brown crust on it. My aromatics, such as the garlic and the ginger, are looking really nice. Let's go with the beans. That little bit of frying gives a really unique texture to this dish. Also that flavor play, because if you sear up those beans in the oil slightly, it almost brings the sugars out because it's caramelizing those beans. So now all the veg is in, all the protein's in, I can go right to that sauce that I pre-made. Now, I always reserve just a little bit in case there's not enough flavor. I can always go in later and add more, but if you over-season, it's hard to kind of fix it from the front side. Work it all through, don't let anything stick to the wok. Now I'm looking at the dish, looking at how much sauce I want in this. There should be balance here as well. Don't be afraid to really scrape. I'm using a carbon steel wok, so I'm not worried about getting any non-stick problems with this. Carbon steel is the best way to go when you're wok cooking. I'll use the rest of that sauce. Now it's about just cooking to that right place, and I'm happy here. Not overdone, not underdone. So let's go ahead and do a plate up. My last chance to season or play with it here, so let's take a little piece of tofu. Happy.